Have you ever stopped to think about geometry? I mean, really think about it? For centuries, we've had this idea that it's all about describing things in a space that's already there. But what if that's all wrong? What if we could build space from literally nothing? Well, today, that's exactly what we're diving into. This is generative geometry.
So take a look at this. On the left, you've got the geometry we all learned in school, right? A fixed grid, like a piece of graph paper, a container where we place things. And on the right, well, it's just nothing, a complete and total void. This contrast is at the heart of everything we're talking about. For so long, geometry has been about describing objects within space. But what if we've had it completely backwards this whole time?
You see, the old way is a geometry of description. That's its whole job. When we say a point is at x, y, we're just assuming those x and y axes are already there, defining every possible location from the get-go. It's kind of like using a map of a city that's already been built. You're just finding an address.
But now we're going to explore a massive paradigm shift. We're moving from describing what's already there to creating it. This is a completely different approach, building geometry straight from the void itself.
And this is the core idea right here. We have to imagine starting with absolutely nothing. No grid, no axes, no up or down, not even the concept of a dimension. Just a space of pure, unbridled potential.
This flips everything on its head. Space is no longer the box we put our shapes into. In generative geometry, space is the logical outcome of the rules we decide to create. We don't find space, we literally build it.
Which of course brings us to the big, kind of mind-bending question. Okay, if you have no grid, no coordinates, absolutely nothing to start with, how on earth do you even begin to create something?
Well, the answer comes down to two, let's call them primal elements. These are the absolute fundamental building blocks of this new reality: instances and relations.
So first up, we have the instance. And notice, we are very deliberately not calling it a point. See, a point needs a location on a pre-existing map. An instance is way more fundamental. It's an existential event. It's the simple, powerful declaration that something exists. It's like the very first spark in an infinite darkness.
But, a single spark isn't a universe. For that, you need a relation. This is the logical rule, the connection that binds two instances together. Now, when we declare a relation between A and B, we aren't just drawing a line. We are generating the very idea of distance and structure out of thin air. It's the act of relating things that starts to weave the fabric of space itself.
And this right here, this is the massive philosophical shift. Traditional geometry is obsessed with location. It's always asking, where is it? Generative geometry, on the other hand, is obsessed with connection. It changes the fundamental question to, how does this relate to everything else?
So I know this is all a bit abstract. How does this actually build anything useful? How do we get from these weird rules to the dimensions we actually live in? Okay, let's watch as a simple plane comes into existence.
Okay, step one. We declare two instances exist. Then we create a relation between them. And boom, just like that, they become collinear. We have just generated the concept of a line, a one-dimensional space, where moments ago there was just nothing. Now, for the fun part, we introduce a third instance, but we give it one critical rule. It is not allowed to be on that same line. This act creates a kind of logical tension, a problem in the system that now has to be resolved.
And here it is. This is the aha moment. By defining the three relationships between these three non-collinear instances, a two-dimensional plane becomes a logical necessity. It has to exist to satisfy the rules we just created. Think about that. We didn't draw a triangle on a page. The logical act of defining a triangle created the page.
And that is the key. That's the whole idea. Dimension isn't a starting point. It's not assumed. It emerges as an unavoidable logical consequence of the relationships we define. It's not a container, it's a creation.
This is obviously super powerful, but how do we scale it? I mean, how do we get from making simple triangles to creating infinitely complex structures?
We do it with a concept called a model. Now, a model is not the physical shape itself. Think of it as the abstract blueprint. Or even better, it's the set of pure logical rules. It's the genetic code, the DNA, that describes how a shape must be constructed.
So this whole process becomes this incredible act of creation. First, you define the abstract rules. You write the genetic code. Then you apply that code to some real instances. And finally, you just get to step back and witness a complex form emerge as a logical consequence. You're no longer just a draftsman. You're more like a genetic architect of form itself.
And this leaves us with a final, really provocative thought to chew on. If space, dimension, and all of physical form can just emerge from a simple set of logical relationships, then what if the universe isn't some static, finished place we happen to inhabit? What if it's more like a dynamic, logical process, a story that is still being written, one relation at a time?